Welcome to FreeMMOStation. My name is Skylent, and today I'm going to give you my first impression review of Pokémon Go.
FreeMMOStation.com.
Alright guys, so let's get into this, and I just want to say that you know what this is, right? You know what you're jumping into when you play a game like Pokémon Go. I'm pretty sure everybody has at least tried the app, right? I mean, that's actually kind of like the selling point of the game, is that it was so explosively popular that regardless if it was actually a good game or not, the experiences that you have, you know, the meta experience of the game really kind of carries the whole experience of the game. So I'd say it's definitely weighted, you know, like 80-90% of the game is really the social interaction, and that heavily depends on where you live as well. So let's start this first impression by saying that I got to play in a college town. I also got to play in a downtown major metro area in the United States, Pittsburgh. And yeah, I had a lot of fun. However, I know that if you lived in, I don't know, like a rural area, a farm-ish kind of town, or a place that didn't have a college or any sort of major tourist destination, if you don't live in a metro area especially, it's gonna be awkward. However, you can get by if you do live in a college or, you know, a certain particular touristy destination, maybe like a zoo or an aquarium. There tends to be lots of Pokestops, tends to be a lot of cellular service, and that means there's going to be more things for you to do in the game, which means more experiences and more social interaction, which makes the game. So I will say that if you think you're going to be able to play this game without cellular service, without actually going out into the world and experiencing new things and going into places that you've probably maybe never been, yeah, you're sorely mistaken. However, I will kind of amend saying that. You can play the game with Wi-Fi if you actually live in a metro area, and there are, you know, lots of free Wi-Fi spots, downtown areas and college campuses. So it is possible, but you still have to, you know, live in a super densely populated area. So yeah, for my friends out there who live in the middle of nowhere, I'm so sorry, but Pokemon Go is just not your game. Now, for the majority, you know, everybody else, heck yeah, man, let's play some Pokemon Go. The game is good. It's fun. Of course, it's not for everybody, but at the same time, I think it kind of is, or it could be. It could be for everyone. If they expand and change around some algorithms, make Pokemon spawn in more sort of like in the rural areas, if they allow for more Pokestops, or I'm not really sure, like just put more Pokestops in areas that aren't so densely populated by cellular service. Because I think one thing that sort of bypassed Niantic whenever they copied and pasted it from Ingress was that the idea of Pokemon, okay, has always been you go into town to get supplies, and then you go out and adventure into the wilderness to go and catch high-level Pokemon. Not always the case. There's some instances of catching Pokemon inside towns and stuff, but for the most part, you go out into these caves on these adventures to catch Pokemon. And there is a little bit of a twist to the algorithm. It seems that some Pokemon do spawn at certain locations. So like, you know, Magikarp spawns on water, and there seems to be more spawns located around like bike paths, stuff like that. But for the most part, if you go into this game with certain expectations, if you think about the game like it's going to be a non-stop, always on augmented reality game, that's not the case. Obviously, you can see from the gameplay, that's not the case. It's just when you catch a Pokemon, and it's only if you actually want to turn on that setting. It makes it a little bit more fun, but it's also maybe a little bit more challenging to use, and it's kind of just gimmicky. But basically, yeah, the game doesn't work how you might think. Okay, your concept, like pretty much every concept you have of this game, it is kind of twisted and turned upside down. But it's not all bad, actually. You know, for instance, the combat is actually, you know, very different from the base games, but at the same time, carries over some things and then kind of expands. You can actually dodge now. The game is real time, like you actually have to clickety-clack. It kind of has a little bit more action to the game. It's very interesting, I think. Honestly, I would actually like the catch, you know, mechanic of the game. It's sort of like an expanded Safari Zone mechanic of throwing Pokeballs. It's actually really in-depth. You don't just throw a Pokeball. I mean, of course, you got different Pokeballs, and I'd love it if they expanded that to like Dusk Balls, Heavy Balls, stuff like that. But you also have this like physics interaction with the ball. You can do curve balls left or right. You can hit the top of the Pokemon, the bottom of the Pokemon. They jump, the Pokemon move around just a little bit. I'd really like to see more Pokemon move way more, like run around you and stuff. That would be cool. But I mean, as simple as it seems, there's actually more to it. You know, you have timing, you have to actually like flick the Pokeball, and it looks easy, guys, and sometimes it will be, but as you get to these higher levels, you're gonna find that you need to be getting these nices, these greats, these excellences. You know, you actually gotta aim and be consistent to, you know, consistently catch the Pokemon. You gotta get good. And it's just pretty cool that the game has these sort of twists to the mechanics, which seemingly are very casual, and I mean, that's not wrong, but there is more to it. Now, carrying over from the base games, every Pokemon does have, you know, 2 abilities, not 4. There is type advantages, you do have stabs, you also have this sort of IV mechanic, like every Pokemon is individual, that's why they have individual values. There's not breeding per se, but you do hatch eggs, and I mean, the game is translated, okay? It is a Pokemon game, but it's changed just a little bit. It's evolved. It's metamorphosized into a mobile game, but it's actually for the better. And I will say, you know, the game absolutely is weighted toward the meta experience, talking with your friends, telling somebody, yo, there's a Blastoise over there, and they all run and get the Blastoise, or you were just trolling them, whatever. You know, there is that, most of the game is that experience, but that's not all of it. You know, there are people who stream and play just sitting at their house with their Wi-Fi because maybe they're, I don't know, they have a local Pokestop, like I do actually. I have a Pokestop right next to me, so I can sit at home, just kind of swipe on the Pokestop, and I got lots of Pokemon that spawn near me, and you can do that, you know, every hour, just check in, see if there's any local Pokemon, you catch it, you level up. It is doable. You can play the game at a very casual pace. You know, just go out to your local mall every once in a while, catch some Pokemon. It is possible to play the game like that, but you're going to find that I think a lot of people, most people that I've seen and interacted with, and I live in a city, like a lot of people, old, young, from all walks of life, I'm telling you, are playing this game extremely hardcore. Like, it seems like a casual game, but there's a lot of depth to it. To catching the right Pokemon, calculating their IVs, picking out their different move sets, mathing out which ones are the best for defending a gym or attacking a gym. Oh, it's pretty cool, you know, and just figuring out the game. And I understand maybe this is just the magic of it being new, the magic of figuring it out and learning it. But there's only so many games that I've played in my life where I felt this sort of magic, you know. I played World of Warcraft. There was that magic of the MMO. Oh, man. There was Halo 2, you know, that whole, my first online experience, my first console online experience, my first competitive game. There's just certain games that have a certain magic to them because they're the first in their genre that do it, you know, the best, and they have the most potential, and you can see it. Everyone's hyped, and everyone loves it, and this is one of those games. So even if you come into this game with certain expectations and they get turned upside down, they will be, just kind of keep looking, because you're going to find something new and a little bit different. Okay, but let's go and talk about some of these actual mechanics. If you have no idea what Pokemon Go is, though I kind of assume that you did, because who doesn't? Anyways, so in Pokemon Go, you run around, you catch Pokemon, throw Pokeballs. It's essentially like the Safari Zone from Red and Blue. Yeah, but there's also this added mechanic of gym battles. Now, they are going to have new mechanics coming in, like trading. There also probably maybe will be battles, and there's going to be events to capture legendaries, and I'm sure they're going to expand the physics of the game, maybe with new Pokeballs, like I said, maybe with Pokemon flying around you and doing different acrobatic moves so it's harder to catch them. I'm sure they're going to add to the game because, honestly, they're getting a lot of money. But right now, the game kind of just feels like it's an early access, and it kind of is. Like, they've been barely, like, just sort of slowly trudging along, releasing to all the different countries and you know, areas. So I think most people have it now. I think there might be a couple of regions that don't have Pokemon Go. The servers are slowly becoming more stable because like for the first week, it was pretty bad, almost unplayable, which is why this first impression is coming a little bit later. Also, I really wanted to play the game. I really wanted to learn its ins and outs before I just said, yeah, it's a casual Pokemon game, because it's definitely more than that. So, but still, even saying that there is more to the game, even saying that there is depth to the game, it still feels like an early access release. I mean, we don't even have trading. We don't have stuff that we saw in the very first trailers of the game, such as events. We just don't have event type Pokemon things. I mean, even if they're not legendaries, right? Like there should be like, I don't know, stampedes of Pokemon or like mass spawns of Pokemon or something like that. And there's almost no sort of like telltale signs of when a Pokemon is going to spawn. There's really no proper tracking system. I mean, supposedly there's a tracking system, but it's completely broken right now. It's just, there's a lot of things in this game that aren't even polished, and then there's even more that aren't even actually in the title. But still, even bare bones, even if this game never actually changed or evolved, it would still be a hit. It would still be popular. Though I can definitely see the potential in this game, and I think it's gonna go places, guys. It definitely reinvigorated my love for Pokemon, and I'm definitely gonna have to go and buy a 3DS so I can play the new games. And I'm sure many people are. Actually, if you go look at eBay listings and Amazon listings, you're gonna see the prices have jumped up like 200% for the game. So pretty intense stuff, man. Pokemon Go has taken the world by storm just a little bit. And it is pretty fun. It looks pretty good. It runs pretty well. Now, yes, this is a cellular game, so I guess we should talk about some cellular stats. Normally, in first impressions for PC games, I would say, you know, if it runs well, if it's optimized well, and stuff like that. But I think we gotta go a little bit deeper because everybody's cell phone is really different. Okay, if you have an iPhone, you pretty much don't have to worry about the game. It's gonna be pretty solid, and everybody has like the same iPhone. You know, iPhone's pretty standard. Now, on Android, since there's so many different Android phones, I'm gonna have to say you should probably have, of course, modern is the best. I have a Galaxy S7 Edge. That works amazingly, though they do lock the frame rate. So, and there's also some aliasing issues. So the game isn't perfect and pretty, and you can obviously see that when it's blown up on the screen in your faces. It does use your camera, it's using your data. It doesn't use that much data though, guys. Not that much, honestly. Games actually don't really, you know, even hardcore games like Overwatch, even MMOs, don't really use that much data compared to streaming services. So, don't worry about that. The battery, though. You're gonna have to worry about the battery, especially if you have other apps running in the background. Like for me, I had a step tracker because I'm trying to lose weight, okay? I'm trying to be a healthy gamer. And you know, playing Pokemon Go goes hand in hand. Why not? So I have a step tracker, I've got some other health fitness things, a heartbeat monitor, blah, blah, blah. Have all those things running, and then I've also got a Pokemon tracker app thing because, you know, the in-game one is broken, so I have to have a, you know, outside app. And I've got a bunch of apps running, okay? Especially like my camera, whenever I flip that on, I wanna record footage for you, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, so, and then I have the recording app for the game, camera, then I have the actual game. And when you have all those things, it drains your battery, okay? Immensely. But even if you just have the game running, it actually still drains your battery pretty heavily. But anyways, guys, this first impression was pretty much based on the fact that you kind of already had a, you know, a guesstimation idea or have played, actually, Pokemon Go. There's a lot of in-depth things that you could probably go and watch all over YouTube. People have pretty much just regurgitated every little bit of information about this game because it's hype, let's admit it. Views are views, right? Anyways, there are some really cool things that I really wish I had time to tell you about the game. There's lots of nooks and crannies to this game that I think maybe it's actually best if you just kind of go and explore yourself, you know? Finding out where locally certain Pokemon spawn, you know, in what geographical area certain Pokemon spawn. Do you have a dedicated spawn? There's a guy that actually has Dratini that just spawned in his house, which is pretty neat. And yeah, there are different rarities of Pokemon, there's different regions that have different Pokemon, and there's very specific places that spawn different Pokemon. Just finding all that out is really fun. And then there's even more. Which Pokemon are strongest, which ones have the hardest hitting moves, which one have the fastest moves, how to utilize the special attack meter, the normal attacks meters, and if you are completely new to Pokemon, just learning the different Pokemon, they're sort of the personalities and everything, how they fit in the metagame, you know, which elements beat which elements, because it's sort of a rock, paper, scissors, you know, element to the game. And there's just a lot to learn for complete newcomers to this. And then also there's still a lot of really refreshing mechanics that are either, you know, transmutated from the original games or completely new, like the catch mechanics that are going to be fun for returning players. So yeah, just a vague first impressions, not a full review, because in the end, I don't think this is a completed product. But maybe in time, when the game is a little bit more flushed out, you know, they have some more things like battles and trading, you know, more features, we'll come back and review it. But as first impressions, that's the video, that's the content. I had a lot of fun with this game. I'm still having fun with this game. In fact, it's my most played this week. Probably the case for a lot of you guys too. I'm having a lot of fun, and I think I don't know. I think I'm just in love. Anyways, guys, my name is Skylant. Thanks for watching. If there's a little bit of echo, it's because I'm in a new studio. Thanks to people like you. Lots of new content coming up. Look forward to it. Please like and subscribe to FreeMMOStation.com or go to my personal channel at Skylant Games. Lots of stuff happening over there too. And I'll see you guys again next time.